Sawasdee Krap, we're back again this afternoon after the briefing we had this morning, because this afternoon we had the general CCSA meeting, which was chaired by the Prime Minister. It ended just now, and we will be just recapping for you the new measures that came out of that meeting. Today's meeting, the general CCSA meeting, is the sixth general CCSA meeting that we have held this year so far. Basically, the results of the meeting involved new measures regarding the rezoning of areas, regarding the corresponding measures that are stricter, as well as the increase of the quarantine period for incoming international travelers. And I'll go through that one by one. Firstly, about new zoning areas. So due to the increase of new confirmed cases in various provinces, especially in Bangkok and its vicinity, the CCSA has proposed and has been approved that the disease control measures be tightened under this new zoning system. So under the revised measures, there will be three zones. First is the maximum and strict controlled area, or the dark red zone. Second is the maximum controlled area, or the red zone, and the controlled area, or the orange zone. Now, there was the criteria which was discussed here. One of those criteria, for example, is that, for example, for the dark red zone provinces, which is 6 provinces, one of the criteria is that there had been over 100 positive cases per day. So that's the type of number and criteria that we have in this rezoning. Now, in 6, the dark red zone area, as you see on screen now in that infographic, there are 6 provinces in that category: maximum and strictly controlled area: Bangkok, Chonburi, Chiang Mai, Nonthaburi, Pathum Thani, and Samut Prakan province. That's the dark red one. Now, the red zone, or the maximum controlled area, yes, that's quite clear for you. It's a quite large font there. Maximum controlled area, red zone. We have 45 provinces now categorized in this group. And the remaining 26 provinces are in the controlled area zone, or the orange zone. So I'll just give you a few seconds to look at the names of the provinces there. But anyways, you can find this in the social media pages of the COVID Center and the Public Relations Department, among others. Now, the corresponding measures that we have for provinces in the dark red zone, the 6 provinces, including Bangkok, there are new disease control measures, which include the prohibition of the gathering of more than 20 people. It also includes, for the dark red zone, 6 provinces, including Bangkok, it also includes no dine-in starting on the 1st of May in restaurants. And restaurants, however, will be able to receive takeaway orders and open until 2100 hours, but no dine-in. Markets and convenience stores will be allowed to open from 4 a.m. to 11 p.m., and shopping centers will be allowed to be opened until 9 p.m. So if you look at the top row horizontally, that's the various measures, new measures for the maximum control area, 6 provinces. Now, in the middle of the infographic, that is the red zone. Maximum controlled area, or red zone. Restaurants will be closed at 9 p.m., but will be able to receive takeaway orders until 11 p.m. So the difference actually for restaurants is that for the maximum controlled and strict area, in the one in red, there's no dine-in, only takeaway. But in the maximum controlled red area, it will be allowed. Dine-in is allowed, but only until 9 p.m. and takeaway orders until 11 p.m. Now, for the controlled area, or orange zones, for restaurants, they'll be able to receive customers dine in and take away until 11 p.m. So if you look at the chart in detail, there are a lot of information regarding the various things you can and you cannot do, including in parks as well, and in restaurants and in open air venues. So please look at that for your corresponding province. But in summary, the dark red one on top is 6 provinces, including Bangkok. The red one, the one in the middle, is 45 provinces. And the lowest one, 26 provinces, is categorized in the yellow zone. So there are new measures for each of these 3 zones. Also, if by chance you are in an ASQ or in a hotel, you can, the way to do it is that you have to order food and of course eat in your hotel. So that's one solution for those being in Bangkok in hotels. As dining is not allowed in Bangkok, only takeaway. So what you do is you can eat at home or in your rooms. And in all provinces, the consumption of alcoholic beverages in restaurants are still not allowed, and mask wearing will now be mandatory in all public areas nationwide. This morning, if you heard the briefing we had this morning, almost all of the provinces already had fines, announced fines, penalties for not wearing. Now, it's announced now that mask wearing is mandatory in all public areas nationwide already. The CCSA also encourages all public and private agencies to allow their employees to continue to allow the work from home scheme for at least 14 more days. So this is for private companies as well. At least 14 more days from now on, allowing your employees, adjusting your work system to be working from home. All of these measures that I have mentioned will be imposed on the 1st of May 2021, this Sunday. In detail, it is effective midnight on the night of Friday. So tomorrow night, Friday night at 12 midnight, tomorrow night, this will become effective at 12 midnight. So it's like the first minute of the day of Saturday, will be effective. So another important issue is about the quarantine period for international travelers. The CCSA meeting just now had approved the extension of the quarantine period for all international travelers, regardless of their nationality or vaccination status. And there are some details in that which I'll give. But basically, all arrivals who hold the certificates of entry issued on the 1st of May or later than the 1st of May will be required to undergo quarantine for the period of 14 days. Now, this consideration is, of course, even if in Thailand the numbers now that we have is mostly from local transmission and less from international arrivals, less from the quarantine system, but looking ahead, the variant strains around the world, in Asia and from other countries, it still poses a risk. And to avoid any further addition to the numbers that we have locally, this is imposed. So all arrivals who hold certificates of entry, it's in the first paragraph you see on screen right now, all arrivals who hold certificate of entries issued on or later than from the 1st of May onwards, when you arrive in Thailand, you will be required to undergo 14 days now, regardless of your nationality. Now, of course, there is sort of I would call it a backlog that if you have received your certificate of entry prior to the 1st of May and you travel to Thailand within the 6th of May, the quarantine scheme would still be the same. So it would still be 10 or 7 days. But if you receive your COE prior to the 1st of May and travel to Thailand after the 6th of May, across the board, it would have to be 14-day quarantine. So this is just to address the backlog of those who have received their COEs prior to the announcement today. Okay, so you have until the 6th of May. If you receive your COE before the 1st of May, but travel within the 6th of May, it'll still be around 10 or 7 days of quarantine. But after the 6th of May, everyone's going to be quarantined for 14 days. Now about vaccination as well. So for those who have been vaccinated travelers who have obtained their COEs prior to the 1st of May would be quarantined for 7 to 10 days, depending on their vaccination status, if they arrive before the 6th of May. But if they arrive after the 6th of May, regardless of their vaccination status, the quarantine period will be 14 days. Arrivals who stay in alternative state quarantine facilities will have to stay exclusively in their rooms and will not be able to use other services in the hotel as previously allowed. And the testing is around 3 times of testing for COVID while there. These measures are meant to reduce the risk of local transmission of the new variants, as the healthcare facilities in Thailand are experiencing a high number of patients being treated. So in addition to all of this information, that was the highlight of the briefing just now by Dr. Tweesin. To recap the meeting, the general CCSA meeting we had this afternoon with the Prime Minister as chair. Aside from this information, just some additional pieces of information. The meeting also talked about the enforcement for people not wearing masks, enforcement of fines. So, of course, there is a procedure there. First, a warning, and then a fine, and then penalized. So, the Prime Minister had finalized the stricter enforcement actions that authorities can take in this regard during the meeting we had just now. The meeting also talked about new economic remedies, new schemes that are aimed to help Thai citizens overcome this difficult time, especially for those who are in the lower income bracket. Also discussed in the meeting this afternoon is the issue about health insurance for our dedicated medical personnel. So the Department of Insurance had been in discussion with various agencies to be able to provide the best possible health insurance care for our medical personnel in this time. And lastly, on vaccination, there was talk in this meeting about an upgraded vaccination plan that Thailand would be having to achieve the goals and to address the situation that we have now. Basically, more vaccines will be sought out and bought and found as we reach the middle of the year and inoculate a lot of people by the end of this year. Now, basically, for a population, a country of around 70 million people, almost 70 million people like Thailand, the criteria is that we must achieve around 70% of vaccine inoculation for 70 million people. That is around 50 million people being inoculated. For 50 million people to be inoculated, there has to be 100 million doses, right? Because each person would have to require two doses with 2 months apart. So 100 million doses are needed for Thailand. Now, we have found and procured or ordered, or it's on the way already, up to 63 million doses of vaccines already. Now, doing the math, we have to achieve 100 million doses in this new plan. So we have around 37 million doses to go. We need 37 million doses to go. And various agencies, the National Vaccine Institute, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the Ministry of Public Health, are in current discussion to acquire 37 million more vaccines to achieve the goal that we have in cooperation, as we mentioned before, with the private sector as well. So the plan is to inoculate almost all of the number that I have mentioned just now The most number of people in Thailand, 100 million doses for 50 million people, which is 70% of the entire population by the end of this year. So as we move along the vaccination plan around September until December, I think that what was discussed, that we will be able to complete the inoculation plan earliest by September, October, or towards the end of the year. So hoping for the best. So basically, this is the recap of the important meeting that we had today. As I mentioned, it's the 6th General CCSA meeting that the Prime Minister chaired this year alone already. And hoping that we'll be able to adjust, hoping that the new measures announced will be effective, hoping that we will receive the cooperation from all of you, as we always have. So thank you very much for your attention today, and we'll see you again next time. สวัสดีครับ